Hello and welcome to today's presentation. We're here today to share some information and answer all of your questions about residential housing at WallaWallaU University. Today's presentation is part of a series of workshops designed to help you feel prepared and ready to start your college adventure at WallaWallaU University. My name is Trevor Congleton, and I'm the Associate Vice President for Marketing and Enrollment Services. I'm here to introduce our subject experts and help answer any questions that you may have. Today, I've asked John Nickel, our Director of Residential Life and Housing, to talk to us about what new students need to know about living in the residence halls at WWU. We also have with us today one WWU student who has offered to share their experiences of actually living in the residence halls and give you some tips and tricks that they've learned by taking advantage of the unique experience that come with living in our residence halls. I've also asked Amanda Ponce, who's one of our Associate Deans for Residence Halls on campus, to join me at the end of the presentation to help answer any questions that you may have related to the residential life and housing program we have here. At any time during this presentation, if you have a question, you can ask it by typing it in the chat box. We'll get to all of your questions at the end of this presentation, which should take roughly about 30 minutes. If you'd like to download the slides that we'll be covering in this presentation, you can download them through the link in the panel on the right side of your screen. John, I'll pass this to you in just a minute, but first, in the context of what we're talking about today, I want to share a clip that helps to illustrate what life is like at WWU and what you have to look forward to. It's about the people you'll meet and the interests you'll discover while you're here with us. Enjoy.
Life is a story. It's a collection of people and places, moments and memories, ideas and spaces. All great stories must begin somewhere. Ours begins where the air is clear and where ideas, energy, and people do life together. Each chapter of our story is shaped by those we choose to do life with. Life in all its splendor. We find worship and wonder in the abundant beauty of the vibrant Pacific Northwest. And savor the warmth and energy of a small college town. This is our place, a place that fuels our search for answers to life's big questions. What do I believe? Where do I belong? Who will I become? Here, we discover and offer our gifts to the world, crossing hallways, states, and continents, with hearts and eyes tuned to the needs around us. Here, we celebrate the true, the beautiful, the divine. These are my people, and this is the place we gather. What's done together means more than what's done alone. Swerving, curving, scaling, soaring, exploring, performing, creating, innovating. Love and friendship here, sometimes unexpectedly. Here, we find ourselves known, seen, understood, welcomed. The belonging we yearn for, we freely give. Here, in the middle of nowhere, we find fellow travelers on the road to everywhere. This is life together. This is life.
Hi everyone, I'm John Nickel, Director of Residential Life and Housing here at WWU. It's my job to oversee the residential life experience on our campus. If there's anything that is unclear as I go along, be sure to ask for clarifications in the chat. My goal is to make sure that you feel confident about what your everyday life is going to look like in housing. You can see the location of our 3 residence halls marked on this map. We refer to ourselves as a residential campus because most of our students live in university-owned housing. We believe in living life together like you saw in the video, and we have a live-in requirement until students are 22 or have senior standing. Of course, there are exceptions to this. For example, if you are living with your parents, grandparents, or a direct aunt or uncle, defined as a sibling of one of your parents, you can submit documentation to live off campus. But we generally have fewer than 20 freshmen living outside the residence halls. This gives you the chance to be part of a vibrant, active, and close community. Over the last year, we have worked together with our campus leadership to ensure safety for all of our students and residents. And we will continue to do that and support the Washington State guidelines. So let's talk about the residence halls themselves. There's 1 hall for the men and 2 halls for women. Foreman and Conard are the women's residence halls. Conard houses most of the incoming residents, while most returning residents live in Foreman. These 2 halls are connected by a breezeway, and the main entrance for both halls is in Foreman. We have several kitchens, 13 laundry rooms, and a fitness center. There are community bathrooms and showers on each hall, and all halls have study spaces. We have 3 different room dimensions in the women's halls. Conard South has rooms that are 12 by 15 feet, Conard North rooms are 10 by 16 feet, and Foreman Hall rooms are 12 by 18 feet. Sittner Hall is the residence hall for men and houses our incoming residents. Sittner Hall has a large laundry room, a study room, kitchen and community bathrooms, and showers. Sittner also has a large fitness center and an entertainment and study suite. In Sittner, most of the rooms range from 10 to 16 to 12 by 15 feet, but there are a variety of configurations.
One great thing about all of our residence halls is that laundry is free. Use of washers and dryers is included in the rent, so you don't have to save up your quarters.
Yes, free laundry is a wonderful part of residence hall life. We have front-loading, energy-efficient washers, so be sure to bring high-efficiency laundry detergent for them. I want to show you a few photos of residence hall rooms so you can get an idea of what they look like. You can get pretty creative with what you do in terms of arranging and decoration. I've seen some pretty awesome setups. We provide a bunk bed, 2 desk spaces and chairs, shelves, 2 closets, and 2 sets of dressers. All the rooms have window blinds, a sink, and a mirror. Some furnishings vary room to room across the residence halls, such as the type of built-ins. If you have questions about rooms, ask your questions in the chat and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation or send more specific follow-up to you via email.
When you're shopping for room decor and supplies, one thing to keep in mind is that all of the beds need extra long twin sheets, not the regular size twin sheets.
Yes, excellent reminder on XL sheets. There are also a few other particulars to keep in mind when you're buying items for your room. This year in particular, because we need to have a flexible mindset, we recommend that you limit the items you bring and err on the side of necessity to enhance your move-in experience. You can always bring more items back after the long holiday break. You can bring a refrigerator up to 4.5 cubic feet, and you're welcome to bring a microwave. You may have a power strip in your room, but it also must be grounded and have a surge protector and an on-off switch. Because of fire codes, extension cords are not allowed. Irons with automatic shutoffs are allowed, but you'll be asked to use the irons in the laundry room. There are a few things that we prohibit, and these are for the fire code and safety reasons. A good rule of thumb is don't bring anything that could start a fire or hurt someone. So anything that cooks food other than a microwave typically is not allowed. Also, IT wanted me to remind you to leave internet routers at home because we have access points in each of the rooms at the residence halls, and we don't want anything to interfere with the wireless access provided. Make sure that you do bring some cleaning supplies for your room. We will have some that's available, but it's best if you bring your own. That way you can ensure that you have it available for you. Switching gears a little bit, bringing a vehicle to campus is fine. Students who bring a vehicle to college will be assessed a $45 vehicle registration fee. You must register your vehicle with campus security when checking in at Village Housing or the residence halls. As we have an easily walkable campus, we ask our students living in the residence halls to only park in their designated parking lots.
Speaking of campus security, parents always ask me how they can know if there's an emergency on campus. Do you want to talk about our emergency alert system?
All of our students are automatically enrolled in the OmniAlert system. In an emergency or a situation that needs a timely alert, students will receive these alerts via text messages and emails. Parents are able to opt in to also receive the alerts by providing their contact info online. They'll receive the same messages as our students. I suggest everyone log into campus emergency systems and double check that your cell number and email are accurate.
Now, John, one of my absolute favorite things to talk about is food. And that, of course, means the cafeteria on campus, of which I regularly dine at during the school year. John, can you talk a little bit about meal plans for students living in the residence halls?
All students living in the residence halls are required to have a meal plan with our dining services. Students have 6 options so they can choose the plan that fits their schedule.
Okay, switching gears a little bit, another question that I hear quite a bit from students is about residence hall curfews. Can you explain how that works for students living in the res halls?
All students living in the residence halls have a curfew, but the time is dependent on the student's age and class standing. And if you are planning on being gone overnight, you will need to fill out a leave request and get it approved before you leave. Between night check and the leave request, this allows a safety awareness and a check-in once every 24 hours. Another thing I'd like to mention about residence hall life is our opportunities for worshiping together. Every week, we will host 2 worship options in the residence halls. One is put on by AGA or OPS, which we'll talk about later, our residence hall clubs that will be hosting programming through the quarter as well. And the other is a hall worship, which is facilitated by the resident assistants on each hall. The chaplain's office on campus also provides an opportunity for worship every other day of the week as well. Within the residence halls, students are required to get 16 credits during the regular class session, so before a review week, those would need to be completed.
Thanks, John. John, you also mentioned something about RAs earlier. Can you cover a little bit about who and what an RA is and what their responsibilities look like?
Yes. The official title is Resident Assistant, and they are commonly known as RAs. Each RA or team of RAs are assigned to a hall. They are here for the support and safety of each of our residents. Their training includes fire safety, mental health, conflict resolution, spiritual mentorship, conflict management, and how to access campus resources such as counseling services, disability support services, IT, security, work orders, and such.
John, if a student is listening to this and they haven't signed up for a room yet, what should they do?
Step 1 is to pay your $200 enrollment fee. Next, complete a residence hall housing application. If you already have a roommate in mind, you can request them during this step, as long as the person you've selected also completes their housing application and requests you as well. Then you'll be matched as roommates. You can start this process at wallawalla.edu/housing. Once your enrollment fee is paid, your roommate is confirmed, and your room is assigned, we will send you an email with details about your room and roommate. Be sure you're checking your WWU email for this information. We will start allowing students to move in on September 19 for Jumpstart students. If you are traveling from 400 plus miles away, you can submit the early arrival request form located on the housing website. All students must make a move-in appointment. You can sign up for a move-in appointment at wallawalla.edu/housing. Things to expect when you arrive on campus to move in. You'll be sent a detailed version of this as we get closer to the date. So this is just an overview, but you'll have a designated check-in area depending on your housing. An RA will greet you and go through a wellness checklist and complete the move-in documents. So up to 2 people will be allowed to assist with the move-in, in addition to the resident. There will be a 4-hour max limit to move items into the residence halls with your approved guests. When you're making plans to come and go from the residence halls during the rest of the year, keep in mind that while we are open through most of the school year, but we do close through Christmas break. So from noon on Friday after finals through Friday noon before classes start, the residence halls are closed. You can find the dates for all of our vacations on our calendar at wallawalla.edu/calendar.
Before we wrap this up, will you briefly mention some of the other housing options that are available for older students, typically those with senior academic status or 20 years old and up, or those who are married or have children?
We have houses and apartments to meet a variety of needs. Studio apartments as well as 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. All of our units are on first come, first served basis, so we can't guarantee that something is available for every situation. If you qualify to live off campus for fall 2021, you can contact us at village@wallawalla.edu and we'll assist you on the next steps to get on the wait list.
All right, we are almost ready to open this up for questions, but before we do, we've got a student with us. and I like to ask them to jump into the conversation and tell us about residence hall living from their perspective. We've got Leandre Sewell with us, who is a senior aviation major. Thank you for being with us today. Leandre, can you tell us a little bit about your experience living in the residence hall? Do you have any tips, tricks for dorm life?
I think living in the residence hall is a really fun time here at WallaWallaU University. I think getting to know your roommate is such a really good thing, especially during times for when you need a lockout. It's kind of hard to go and always ask your RA to open the door for you when you get locked out. So my number one recommended tip when living in the residence hall is to always check your pockets for your ID card before you leave your room.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. Can you tell us a little bit about eating in the cafeteria? For instance, my personal favorite cafeteria hack is using the unlimited ice cream and soda fountain to drown myself in root beer floats during the week. What is your favorite meal or cafeteria hack?
I like the falafel meal that they serve at the cafeteria, and I think it just makes me feel happy every time I walk in, just seeing that on the main line. And my biggest cafeteria hack is during breakfast time, if you want a waffle, start making your waffle first and then enter the main line to get your food so that you kill two birds with one stone.
Smart, because then when you're done done getting your food, then it's ready for you to go hot, fresh. You don't got to wait like 3 or 4 minutes for it to be done. That's good. That's a good one. Exactly. All right. Well, John mentioned a little bit ago that we have residence hall clubs, AGA and OPS. Can you talk a little more about these clubs and some of the activities they do throughout the year?
Sure. I can start with AGA, the Women's Club. AGA stands for Aleph Gimel Ayin. Everyone who lives in the women's residence halls is automatically signed up to be a member of the club. AGA puts on a bunch of activities throughout the year for the girls to live in the residence halls. This includes things like hot drink Mondays, exercise classes, spa days, and grab-and-go breakfasts. Some of their bigger weekends include things like AGA Mud Bowl and a banquet, and other events on Mother's Day weekend. That was AGA. Now let's talk about the Men's Club, OPS. OPS stands for Omicron Pi Sigma. They have several events during each quarter, just for the men who live in the residence halls. They have some hall versus hall events, such as a slam dunk contest. They also put on Mud Bowl, which is their annual mud football game, which can be pretty messy. They host a Super Bowl party each year, and each week OPS has an evening worship meeting. Also, OPS puts on an event called Sonnenberg, where the dorm plays against the village in an ultimate basketball game that everyone shows out to.
Great. Thank you, Leandre, for the insight into residence hall life, as well as the cafeteria hacks.
No problem.
Okay, I'm going to open this up for the audience questions in just a second. But before I do that, I want to point out some important dates for everyone to keep in mind. Jumpstart begins on Sunday, September 19, and goes through the 25th. This is an important week of orientation for new students, and all incoming freshmen are required to attend. By Wednesday, September 22nd, you should have paid your down payment, completed any necessary paperwork for student loans, and have signed your financial clearance online. And then, on Monday, September 27th, you begin your college education at WallaWallaU University. Up on the screen now, we have some phone numbers that you might find helpful if you have any questions after this presentation. All right, let's jump into the audience questions. And just a reminder, you can ask them in the chat box as we go along. All right, at this time, I'm going to invite Amanda Ponce to join us, since she's going to be our expert on all things residential life and housing. And Leandre will be joining us as well. So feel free to ask any questions that you think have to do with a student's perspective on what campus life is like and what living in the residence halls is like. All right, so the first question, and I'm going to kick this one to Amanda, is will masks be required in the residence halls?
Yeah, that's a great question. The university is committed to providing the residents with a safe living and learning environment. And so with that, as of this moment, masks are not required for those who are vaccinated in the residence halls. We are strongly encouraging those who aren't vaccinated to continue to wear their masks and to social distance. And then any changes to this policy will get communicated out via email.
Great. Thanks, Amanda. Next question is another student is asking, can I live with my aunt who lives in the Tri-Cities? For those of you not from this area, the Tri-Cities is about an hour away from Walla Walla. It's like our closest, like kind of like city type of place. Lots of different dining options over there, that kind of stuff. And would you recommend a student to travel an hour back and forth?
Honestly, I wouldn't recommend it. And the biggest reason for that is just safety. It's about 100 miles round trip. And so when it's pretty cold out in the winter, makes the roads icy, it can be pretty bad. The other thing is you probably would have missed out on a lot of on-campus events. And as you can see from that video that we watched in the beginning, those are things that you want to be around for.
Great. All right. So we got some more great questions coming in. One of them is they're wondering if beds can be lofted, or can you build a loft for your beds? Amanda, Leandro, which one of you wants to take that one?
I think I could get this one.
All right.
So for our beds, each bed or each room comes with like a set of bunk beds. We don't allow lofting. And the big reason for that is that we just can't guarantee your safety if you're building lofts to your beds. And then our bunk beds aren't designed for anything to be added on. And so you can do a couple of different cool things with your bed. You could do traditional bunk beds, as you can probably see in some of the pictures that we've shared. You can do side by side, an L-shaped type layout. So there's a lot of different things you can do.
Awesome. Let's see. Next question is, so they wanted just a clarification on something that I think was said early in the presentation. Irons for like your clothing, should those only be used in the laundry room, or can you use one like in your room?
So our policy in the residence hall, and this is working with our fire department, our local fire department, and just making sure that we're, doing everything that we're supposed to as far as keeping the residence hall safe, is our policy is we ask that those are only used in the laundry rooms and not in your own room.
Makes sense. Next question is, what happens if I will be on campus for the first quarter, but I'm planning to move in with family after that? How does payment work? How does the meal plan work for those kinds of changes? And also, man, unless I'm wrong, there's a special process that has to take place in order for a student to petition to live off campus if they're under our minimum age and class level, correct?
Yes, that is correct. So we do have eligibility requirements that you have to meet in order to live off campus. And so that includes with your family. And so just look through that on the website. It is all listed under our Village Housing website and our Residence Hall website, those eligibility requirements. But all of our rent and like our like payments and stuff are processed quarterly. And so if that first quarter you're living in the dorm, cool, we'll charge you your meal plan, charge you your rent and all of that. And then you can just update all of your information when you're going through registration and we're going through enrollment to include that you'll be living with your family, and then you'll get charged accordingly.
Great. Good answer. All right, Leandro, I'm going to try to kick this one to you, and we'll see if you know the answer. Having lived in the residence hall and being an RA, what does Omicron Pi Sigma stand for, which is the men's club for those that live in the residence hall? And does it have any special meaning?
From my understanding, it has something to do with brotherhood, like OPS, Omicron Pi Sigma. It's Greek. That's all I understand. But the overall concept is that brotherhood is what we stand for.
And that's I think the Bible verse that's like kind of the emphasis of the OPS one. And they also are asking about AGA. And Amanda, I get a lot of questions about how to pronounce that exactly. And so I don't want to slaughter it, but I'm sure you know exactly the proper pronunciation for the club.
Let's hope that I do. Aleph Gimel Ein is how
great.
We've said it since I've been a student here. So if that's wrong, then I've been saying it wrong for like 10 years.
For 10 years. And I'm sure you've taught many other people how to say it improperly. Any special reasoning for that? Or did the founders ever decide that they liked the way it sounded?
No, I do think there is a special reason. I can't remember off the top of my head what it stands for, but for both of them, OPS and AGA, when the founders decided to name the clubs that, they had, Bible verses in mind, and then just like a very important and meaningful reason for it.
Great, thank you. Amanda, another question for you. Are Instapots allowed in residence hall rooms?
Yeah, that is a good one. And I would say Instapots have become so popular over the last couple of years. But unfortunately, Instapots are not allowed in the residence hall. This is something that we've gone back and forth with the fire marshal for our local fire department here. Because yeah, it's super helpful and they're super popular, but they do have that open heating element. And so that's kind of the cutoff. If it has anything that, you know, like a hot plate or like a toaster, we just can't have anything with an open heating element.
Great. Here's another question. Are you allowed to bring a portable air conditioner into Sittner Hall specifically, but I guess it could go for any residence hall?
Yes, absolutely. If you would like to purchase a portable air conditioner for your residence hall room, I'm sure your roommate will be very happy, at least for the first couple of weeks and the last couple of weeks of school. The rest of the year, I would say, like, as someone who did live in Conard, which doesn't have AC, like, it really isn't too bad. Like, the weather is pretty mild after, like, you know, about a week or two of school. So you definitely can, though. Bring it.
Great. Gotta stay cool. You honestly, most of the time, you don't need that when you're in school. There's a couple of weeks where it's kind of warm. If you bring a fan, you'll probably be just fine. You can open your window. It usually cools off quite a bit at night here too, so you're usually pretty comfortable. Right now, it's really hot in Walla Walla today, and that one works well. But since you're coming in about a month and a couple weeks, it shouldn't be that hot. So most of the students and most of the rooms do not need them as we go through the year. Let's see, another one. Landra, I'm going to give this one to you. Can you remove or add the supplied furniture from the room? And what kind of furniture is provided that is in every room?
Okay, so you are blessed with 2 chairs, I think a drawer cabinet as well, and 2 desks. Yeah, so you can't take any of those out of the room. Usually people try to take out the chairs and try to put in their own chairs, but no, we do not allow chairs to be taken out. So you have to leave everything that you see in that room.
It's a little bit challenging if things get removed and trying to keep track of where it all goes with a residence hall with a lot of students in it and a lot of rooms. I am sure that would be very difficult. All right, here's a question. I'm not sure if either of you know the answer to it. How many outlets are there in the rooms? And obviously, I'd guess that, like, you know, depending upon like which residence hall you're in, it's going to be probably a different number, or are they all the same? Are you counting right now, Landra, in your room?
3 to 4, including the one around the sink. So about 3 to 4. Plan on that.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I would say that's probably the norm, is about 3 to 4.
Great. Next question is, can you ship something like a fridge to arrive before you move in? And then, like, how does that work if somebody orders something from, say, Amazon, that kind of stuff? Do they ship it to the residence hall? Do they ship it to, like, a mail receiving center on campus? That would be great to answer.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'll start with, if you are going to ship stuff to the residence hall, just ship it to the one that you'll be living in. So if you're living in Sittner, use that address. If you're living in Foreman, Conard, use that address. And make sure you include your name on that package so we know who it belongs to. And then if you are going to ship stuff, please don't ship it before September 12th. So we ask that you ship it after September 12th. Over the summer, we don't accept packages for students that don't live in the dorm. And so I don't want to return a package that you bought. So just make sure you ship it after September 12th to the residence hall. And then when you arrive on campus, you'll be able to pick that up from the front desks.
Great. Another question is, can this talk be viewed again later? It can. I'm going to answer that one. We actually are going to be recording this. And so if you need to refer to it later on in a couple weeks or tomorrow, if you just enjoyed it so much you wanted to watch it again, you'll be able to do that. And I'll give you some instructions before we head out on where you can view that. Next question. Do you guys know if each room has their own private wireless network?
Yes, and no. So we have a wireless network that we use for the residence halls, and it's run by our IT department. But you have your own personal router in your room. And so you can use Ethernet on that router. You can just use Wi-Fi. So there's a couple options there, but it is run through the university.
Great. And then another question, and Landra, you answered a question like this earlier. Where should I keep a bike, especially during like the rainy, snowy season?
Well, they both residence halls have bike lots. I can speak on the one for Sittner. It's on the south side. As soon as you walk out of the exits, there's a rail there that you can lock your bikes. I recommend if you're bringing a bike to bring a really good lock, because there have been cases where bikes have been stolen in the past. So that's kind of what your options are there.
Great. And then, of course, we always recommend that students bring locks. So make sure if you're bringing a bike, you bring a really good solid lock that you can lock it up, and you make sure you put it around your frame, not just a tire where it can pop off, because we want to make sure that nobody takes your bike. That'll be important. Let's see. Another question is, do students need to remain with their laundry all the time, or can they leave it running and come back when it's finished?
I can take this one too. As a college student, we're usually pretty busy. And the best thing to do is to set it, bring your phone or some type of timer with you, throw it in there, and then set that timer so you can come back for it. Because there have been moments where, we don't live in a perfect world. People will steal your clothes. So make sure you set a timer for how long the washer or dryer is slated to be timed for.
Great. And we now have a recommendation from the audience that says Kryptonite is an excellent bike lock brand. So that is recommended by a person that is watching with their family, it looks like. Let's see. Next question is, there are only 2 people allowed in a room, correct? Can you tell me more about the meal plan? Obviously, that is super important for students. I can go ahead and try to cover some of it because we're getting a couple questions about the different meal plans, like when you can change it, all that kind of stuff. So when you go through your financial clearance process, you will select your how many meals you plan on using. The default is a nice middle of the road plan where they give you a certain amount of meals. Do you guys remember how many you get? Andrew, do you remember? Because you're the most recent one that's gone through it. Oh, he might be frozen.
I think there is one that's 8 and one that's 12.
8, it goes up to 12.
And then 16, I think,
okay,
if I remember correctly.
And so how that works is if you don't use them, so let's say you only eat there 5 times and you're in the 8 meals a week, you will lose them. You'll lose the 3. So you want to make sure you sign up for the one that you will actually utilize. Up until, what is it? I think it's 10th day, you're allowed to kind of change your meal plan. At that point, you are kind of like locked in. And so usually the recommendation from campus is go with the default one for your first quarter, because it really will depend on like how much you utilize it. A lot of students will do maybe breakfast in their residence hall room, get like some milk and some cereal, do something like that. Other students will go and always do lunch, like going off campus and grabbing something and bringing it back. So it really kind of depends on the individual student and what works best for them. But that's basically how the meal plan stuff will work. But I'd say, make sure if you pay for it and you sign up for the meals, keep track of how many you're eating and you're getting your money worth. Super important. And it's all you can eat when you go in the cafeteria. Can't beat that. That's a great thing. Let's see. Next one is, can you describe, I think they're trying to say Conard Hall, closet space, and the best organizational things to bring?
Yeah, so the storage spaces, your closets in the residence halls, they range from about 2.5 feet to 3 feet wide. And so a lot of times, honestly, people are pretty creative in how they organize their things. I've seen, like those organization ones that hang from the closet, and it just has like multiple like places where you can put clothes. I've seen like little drawers that people add in there. I don't know, if you live by a Container Store, you're very lucky. Just grab whatever.
Great. Let's see. Another one is there a kitchen in each of the residence halls that allows meat to be cooked? Good question.
Yeah, so across the board for all of our residence halls, we don't allow meat to be cooked in our shared kitchen spaces. And so we do have kitchen spaces in all the residence halls. So Sittner has one kind of in that main lobby area. Foreman has 2, one on first floor, one on second, and Conard has one on every floor, which is 4 floors, so 4 of them. But like I said, we don't allow any meat to be cooked in the residence hall in those shared spaces.
Great. Let's see. Another question is, are you allowed to bring your own chairs? So if you wanted to like have a nicer chair than the one that's provided, can they bring it?
Okay, I can take it. Yes, I've seen different residents take their own chairs, but like I said before, You might crowd the room a bit if you have your own chair plus the 2 chairs that are already in there. But that's up to you if you want to take your own chair. But make sure your furniture stays in the room, even if you bring that new chair in.
Yeah, because remember, you still have you'll have 2 additional chairs if you and your roommate bring a chair, and then you got to figure out what to do with them. That might be a little challenging. So just I'd say maybe wait until you show up and see if you like the chair that's provided, and if you decide that you don't, there are a number of stores here in town that sell office chairs. You could always go to one of those if you wanted to pick one up, or you can always order one. I mean, that's a big thing. Get it shipped to you. Next question is: do I need a printer for my room?
I can take this one as well.
Go for it.
If you think that you need to be printing very often, I'd say go ahead. There's no reason not to. But we do on campus. There are locations to print, like Bowers Hall as well as the library. You can go in there. You can print for free. So if you have the money to buy a whole printer for yourself, go ahead. But there are options here on campus.
Yeah, where you can print and you don't have to buy a whole new ink cartridge, which those are where it gets expensive, right? Next question is, what are the CAF hours? Do you guys know what all of the CAF hours are for every day?
See, they switched it up a lot since COVID, but roughly in the morning, you're looking at about 7 to 10 for breakfast, and then lunch is 11 to about 2:30, 2 to 2:30, and then dinner is going to be from 5 to 7 or 7:30, one of the two. But that's what you're expecting throughout the day.
Now, Sabbath is a little bit different, right? Because they open later on Sabbath, and they do kind of like a late breakfast typically, don't they? I believe. And so that one's going to be a little bit later in the day. So if you're really hungry on Sabbath morning, make sure you've got another food option. If you are an early riser and you're hungry and you want to get that before heading out to church. Let's see. Next question for the meal plans. Getting a lot of questions about meal plans. See, people like food just like me. How are the weeks defined? Is it Sunday to Sabbath or what? I believe that it starts on Sunday as the new part of the week, and it goes until Sabbath is the end. Let's see. Next question is there a schedule or day that you can take students to a store like Walmart or a mall? Well, if you are providing transportation, then yes, you can take them anytime you want. Hopefully when they're not in class. That would not be a good move. But unfortunately, we don't offer like rides to those places here on campus. Luckily, there's a really great transit system that's here in College Place and WallaWallaU. And in fact, we are so close to Walmart that you can walk there. I've not counted how many blocks it is, and I actually have not walked there. But for people that like exercise, it is well within walking distance to get there. Or if you have a bike, it's a great way you can pedal down there. It does not take you long to get to Walmart. So it's nice and close. And the other thing that's great too, and Leandre, correct me if this is wrong, but one of the things that students really enjoy doing is bumming rides off each other. So if you don't have a vehicle that's here, I had a vehicle when I started at college, when I came to WallaWallaU, and I had friends all the time that I was running all over town. And so that is pretty typical. If you don't have a car, you just make sure you find a friend that has one. Take with you.
Really quick hack that I just learned this summer that I've been here. There is this pantry called Eden's Pantry. They do basically groceries, volunteer groceries. People just come by and drop off food. It's a food drive basically for college students. That's such a big save for us because like we spend so much money on groceries and they have many things to choose from there. So I guess like when you do come in the school year, you'll hear more about it. There are posters around as well. It's in the church. It's in the basement of the church. And so yeah, that really saved me a lot, especially being here in the summer.
Great. All right, we're getting close to the end of the questions. Like right now, I've only got one left. But if you have a question that we have not answered yet for Amanda or Leandre or myself, feel free to pop it in there really quick. So we want to make sure we get to all of them before we close the program. Let's see. Question is, what are the weight training facility hours? And this is from, it looks like a lady. So Amanda, do you guys have certain hours for like the fitness center for you guys?
Yeah. So for all the residence halls this next year, the fitness centers are going to be open pretty much all the time except for Sabbath. So we'll close for Sabbath, but the rest of the time it's going to be open and for you guys to use. We also have a fitness center on campus in the gym, in the WEC is what we call it. And so that one, I would say definitely check their hours on their website just to be sure, because I'm not 100% sure what their hours are. But we have a couple of places that you guys could go to if you're looking for something specific.
Great. A question about the cost of the transit sim that I was just talking about. I actually don't know that off the top of my head, but you can easily go and Google like Valley Transit in Walla Walla or College Place, Washington, and they should have links that can tell you exactly how much it costs to ride on them. I don't believe, last time I checked, it's been a long time though, it wasn't that expensive, and I believe you can also get like a pass that will allow you to ride it for like a flat fee, I believe.
I actually do know how much it costs.
Do you know, Amanda? See, I knew you were going to be the expert.
Only because my mom, when she visits, is like obsessed with it because they look like trolleys, like, you know, in like San Francisco. Anyways.
So does she ride them?
Yeah, my mom does. I have a car, and I'm like, Mom, I'll just drive us. No, she likes to ride it. It is free right now. They had it free, I think, in almost all the summers it's free, and then throughout COVID it was free. And then even when they were charging, it was 50 cents. So I don't know if they'll start charging again, but it's pretty cheap.
Awesome. Man, I'm impressed you knew that. That was really good. All right. That looks like that brings us to the end of the questions. I want to thank everybody for participating in this presentation. And I hope it was helpful and that you feel ready to move into the resident hall with confidence for this fall quarter. Oh, it looks like we did get one more question. Let me jump back to it. I have a roommate, but the room reservation period says it's closed. Do you know when it's open?
Yeah, so the room reservation period is for you to choose your own room. And so that part is closed. But if you apply for housing at this point, then I go through and assign students housing. So you won't be able to choose your own. You can tell me your suggestions, like, oh, I want to live on this hall and this style of room. And you can do that in your housing application. And so I will do my best to meet those preferences. But I go through and assign those rooms out now.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that last one. Okay, so real quick, back to what I was talking about. I just want to remind you guys that we have 2 more presentations coming up. On August 18th, we'll be hosting a workshop focused on preparing you for fall quarter, where we'll have a few representatives from across campus to give you the inside scoop on their departments and answer your questions such as, do you need to have a physical and immunization records before coming to college? How do you get your ID card? Then on August 19th, we'll have a presentation just for graduate students and the information grad students need to know. So if you're a grad student, you're coming to get your master's degree, you'll want to make sure you don't miss that one. If you'd like to attend these online presentations, you will need a separate registration for each of them, and you can sign up for them at wallawalla.edu/workshops, which is also where we'll have a recording of this presentation, probably, I'm guessing, by the end of day tomorrow. So again, that's wallawalla.edu/workshops. You can see it there on the slide. Also, if you missed our presentation from last Wednesday, we covered financial clearance and how to get that. We walk you through step by step. And with financial clearance being open right now, I'd highly encourage you and your family to go through that process. And if you have questions, just pop open that saved presentation and we'll be good to go. Also, if you haven't had the opportunity yet to come out and visit our campus, I'd highly encourage you to do so. You'll have the opportunity to either visit us virtually or in person, depending upon your comfort level. And during either of these visits, you will be able to get a tour of our campus, meet with academic departments you're interested in, and you can even get your financial questions answered with a one-on-one appointment with a financial aid counselor. You can learn more about your visit options and sign up at wallawalla.edu/visit. We'd also love to have your feedback about today's presentation. When we sign off, please take a moment to take a brief survey at wallawalla.edu/comment. We want to make these presentations as helpful as possible, and your feedback is very valuable to us. And yes, we do, in fact, read every single one that we get. For those of you who joined us late or would like to rewatch this presentation, like I said earlier, we'll have it posted probably by the end of day tomorrow. If you think of something you forgot to ask, you can always give us a call or email us at info@wallawalla.edu or send us a direct message on Instagram or Facebook. You can see that the number down there is 509-527-2615 for questions. A huge thank you to John Nickel and, of course, Amanda and Leandre for joining us this evening, and also to our producer that you have not met, Jennifer Boyko, who's been running things behind the scenes for us. And also, of course, a big, huge thank you to all of you who joined us this evening for the presentation. We're looking forward to getting to know you and having you on our campus this coming fall quarter. And hopefully we'll see you at next week's presentation. Hope you have a wonderful night. Take care.